Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 20th, is it today? 21st, May 21st, 2020 Penfield Zoning Board work session. Hope everyone's doing well, and we're in session now, and we'll turn to the agenda. The first item is the approval of minutes from February, as the last two meetings of this board were canceled. Everyone's had the minutes. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mike Belgiorno to approve, and a second by Andres. Any discussion on that? All right, I'm going to do a roll call. Well, let me do this if it's okay, Pete. I'm going to ask for yes, no, and abstentions, and that way if there aren't any abstentions, is that okay? Or you want me to do a roll call? That's okay, he says. I got a thumbs up. All right, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. And let's go to the tabled matter. And I think, who do we have? From the applicant. I see Paul.
Hey folks, Paul Palucci with DeMarco here.
Who else do we
Dave
have?
Type of Starbucks is here.
Okay.
Joe with Hilton Displays.
Jay Hersey with Sign and Lighting Services is here.
Great.
Dan Richards is here.
Okay, so I'm counting 5 representatives of the applicant, is that correct?
Dan is on another application. That's okay.
Yeah,
He's
4.
gone.
Okay, all right. Oh, it's like 4, all right. So Paul Colucci, do you want to start here, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to. First of all, thank you for hosting this format. I know the town is working very hard to keep applications moving, so that's greatly appreciated. From what I understand, this application was heard back in February and tabled, and the board had some interest in hearing from the landlord relative to signage, comprehensive signage, where we are with it, as the board knows that they approved a comprehensive signage plan for Baytown Plaza back in 2018. If you'd like, I did prepare a very short PowerPoint presentation that I can run through with you real quick.
That's fine.
And then obviously the application is by Starbucks and we have representatives there. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint presentation that we can run through. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
So this is just an update to what I presented back in 2018. Basically, as you know, we have we had approved 4 separate pylon signs. So starting at the north at Brent Point Drive, there's a pylon that's in the existing pylon at Brent Point Drive. We built the pylon at the Verizon building, which is the address of 1930 Empire Boulevard. We put the sign cabinets in the existing monument. Those are in. And we are planning to construct Pylon C, which is the last remaining freestanding sign this summer. We actually intend to put the application for building permit in the next month and get that underway. This is the pylon at Brant Point. You're all familiar with that. These were the images that we proposed for Pylon B, constructed. That's now in at 1930, and that will be the same exact sign as is going to be built at Creek Street. This is a photo of the cabinets that went in on the monument. Again, Creek Street. And then we had discussed with the board doing directional signs in various locations throughout the plaza. We are reviewing this. This is likely going to be a component component that's added either later this year or next year. But you'll recall we had directional signs proposed at various locations, decision points as you came into the plaza, whether you came in off Creek Street, main plaza entrance, or off Grant Point, with pennant directories that would indicate who's in the plaza and where they are located. These were images shown relative to what those were conceived to look like. And the reason we haven't built these yet is we're looking very hard at, what we want the aesthetic of these to be, and make sure that we're right sizing them and placing them in the right location such that they don't become visual clutter and otherwise detract from the ability for tenants' business identification sign on their storefronts to be seen. But this is something that we are working at. And these were the various types of signs that we were proposing. This is Starbucks directional signage that was part of their application that you've seen, you've reviewed this. They had a drive-through directional sign off the main plaza entrance. I'm showing in red here where our directional sign was proposed. We've looked at their directional signage, both off the main plaza entrance and off the Creek Street side, where they want their directional signs into their drive-through. And both this one and this main plaza entrance sign, we don't believe conflicts with their identification for drive-through. So we've looked at this, we've approved it as a landlord, and we're supporting their signage. And then we had pedestrian scale directories that would be at certain decision points. These still will be constructed. These are part of the next phase of signage that will be forthcoming. Obviously, over a directory at Building G on the pedestrian hardscape, near the flagpole, and then near the newly expanded bus stop, where we would have pedestrian directories. This was a visual of what the pedestrian directory would be. We believe that these may wind up being something that has dual-sided cabinets and information that will go in there relative to who's in the plaza, what type of special events are happening, et cetera. The blade signs was another component that we had approved. This was a finalized design for the blade sign that would be affixed to each tenant storefront. These are being fabricated right now and will be installed in the next 30 to 60 days along each of the tenant storefronts within the plaza. And then we've done the banners at various locations throughout the plaza, the street of shops, the town green area, and then elsewhere in the plaza. That, I just wanted to run through very quickly with you what we had previously approved, where we are. So I think the important things are the Creek Street pylon sign will be constructed this summer. Blade signs are intending to go up in the next 30 days as they're being fabricated now. And then we're going to come back to directional sign as the last piece of implementing that comprehensive signage package.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Any board members have any questions for Paul on that? Actually, board members, if you do have a question when I do that, raise your hand if you would, just so I can call on you. We'll try that. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So I know that this application has changed since the first meeting. So does some representative of the applicant want to quickly run through the application as it exists tonight?
Jay, you want to take that piece?
Yeah, well, the initial presentation basically was for 8 signs, since the board was counting the siren and the drive-through box as 2 separate signs. The application has been changed to remove the circle, the siren sign, and a drive-through sign from the north elevation, and also a drive-through box on the south elevation, which would have been over the drive-through window. So we've come back to the board with 5 signs, not the 8 as originally proposed. And I know the board had concerns and had questions for a representative from Starbucks with other questions. And I'd like to pass this over to Dave, who can answer those questions that the board had on traffic flows and other concerns.
And
Okay.
Dave, before you start, if I might just, if we could have everyone just state his or her name prior to speaking as well. So if we can go back and just for the record, identify the last speaker before Dave starts. And
Okay.
and the company you're with.
Okay, I am David Scheib with Starbucks Coffee Company.
Okay, prior speaker was,
I went on Edward Hersey.
right,
Land and Lighting Services was the applicant.
thank you. Okay, go ahead, Dave, from Starbucks.
Okay, is it okay if I share a screen? I think it might be easier with a visual.
Yes.
Okay. Please let me know when you can see it. Got it?
I can see it.
Okay, this might be the best way to look at it. So if Empire Boulevard is out here, just to get our bearings, north is at the top of the screen, south, east over here, west over here. Obviously, one of the main components of this is that this is one of the kind of rare instances that Starbucks is not at the road. We did agree to that because there are multiple access points in, as well as some visual opportunities to see, at least briefly, on Empire Boulevard.
Hey,
And then, of course-
Dave, I'm sorry, this is Dan. I had to interrupt you. Do you intend for us to be looking at a Starbucks logo with the address on or some sort of map?
Well, I should be moving through it and you're picking it up. It doesn't seem like the pages are turning for me. Let me try it again. Thank you
That might
for
be like
calling
the
that
head
out.
page. Yeah, I was going to let you go for another half hour or so, but
All right, well, I love to hear myself talk, so. Okay, so I stopped sharing the screen. I'm going to reopen that briefly. I'm going to try it again. I think if I do it as a whole screen, it might be easier. Okay. Now there it is. If I turn a
Okay.
page, okay, it seems that the pages are turning now. I see the little box. Okay, so this is what I was actually showing. And I know obviously you all know it better than I do as I live, 300 miles away from here. But your visual lines through here, if McDonald's being out here, I believe, your visuals, you get some limited areas. So this is unique that we would go inside of a center and not on Empire Boulevard. So that was something that we kind of worked with Paul and their team to try to really come up with a beautiful 4-sided building so that regardless of how you approach this center, and there's a lot of different ways in, that we felt that we had a real brand identity and we could also control the traffic flow to avoid any confusion as you get near the site. So what's interesting is the best way for this site to flow would be for a drive-through to come around this way. So you can view this as this is a front and this is a second front. This is really the rear of a building. So we don't like to do that, but the rear of the building is facing Empire Boulevard. So where I know we have McDonald's and other examples in the area that they have the back of a building without signage on it, but this isn't as typical. It doesn't have the dumpster area behind it. It doesn't have, a cooler box or something blocking it. It really is a full facade of 25 to 30 feet. So what we did was we had originally 2 signs. We had a word mark on this side, probably easier to go to here. Now it's flipped, unfortunately, but a word mark on this side, as well as a logo disc here with the chevron indicating a drive-through. That drive-through is important to our customers that look at it briefly to understand the difference between a cafe and a drive-through store, as many people, certainly as a result of this pandemic times, do not have any interest in going inside of the store. So if it was just a cafe, they may keep on going by. With this being the rear, what we did was we took off a sign on, I believe on this side, 2 signs, and then we took off 1 on the drive-through side. So we've reduced it kind of the best that we could. The sign that we view this year, I know it's counted twice, they are separate, but we kind of view this as 1 sign because all it simply is telling someone, this is Starbucks and we have a drive-through. That's really the whole purpose of that sign. A word mark here is small, but looks, very elegant with the architecture of the building. Over the drive-through, simply just not to have a full bare side with someone kind of not understanding, and it's got a real natural place for a sign. We thought the logo just looked very sharp here, but we did remove underneath it the chevron for the drive-through. And then on the front of the building, you also have just a small word mark which faces inside. So we went from the 8 down to the 5. We're technically calling it 4. And I understand that was, I guess, the first objective of the board was to try to reduce the signs, which we did on there. And I guess I could answer at this point any questions that might understand as to why we'd like to see it on all 4 sides.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Board members, any questions? I can't see anybody. I can't see you guys right now. So if you have a question, just speak up.
Okay, I'll speak up here. This is Andres.
There you go.
Question for you. Are you going to be on any of the plaza signage in terms of either any of the signs entering the building, any directional signage as you go through the plaza, things like that would direct somebody into Baytown Plaza to visit your establishment?
So there are, as Paul indicated, there are 4 pylon signs out on, or major monument signs out on Empire Boulevard. We are on 1 of them with 1 small panel. And although we view that as nice, I don't know how much that's really picked up as a typical brand identity for us. So it's almost as if we don't have a pylon sign, but we are on 1 of the 4. Inside the center, there are 2 directionals, 1 to direct someone in here, the second one on the south end over here.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other questions from the board? All right. I guess I don't see any. So what I would like to do is, if I can find it here, I'm trying to get to, well, let me just go by memory. The memo that we received from the PRC noted that the drive-through signs didn't add much to the safety, traffic safety, and I don't know if that's the reason the applicant, excuse me, took 2 of those down or not, but that sort of, in my mind at least, resolved that issue. But I think it also, the PRC did note that the other aspects of the, let's see, maybe I can pull it up, yeah. That the additional signage proposed by Starbucks are effective at contributing to and improving traffic and pedestrian safety. I read that as stating that in other aspects, the PRC, obviously, which is a committee comprised of staff here, look favorably upon the rest of the application. I'm glad that the applicant did also reduce 1 of the other signs as well. Or eliminate, I guess I should say, not reduce. And I'm not sure if we had anything else. I don't know, and if you want to chime in, anything else that we had for the tabling purpose. Let's see, pull up your lead sheet, that may help.
Well, I think Paul Colucci addressed one of the concerns of the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. The chart comparing, I will say to the applicant, I don't know if you've had the benefit of looking at the chart prepared by staff. We asked in January, well, this was first heard, or February? We asked in February that if staff would give us information I see you smiling, Mike Belgiano. Good for you. We asked that the staff would prepare a chart illustrating easily for us what applications were made previously in the plaza and what we granted, and that was a very useful tool. I will say that the one that jumps off the page in my mind is the McDonald's. And of course, with my limited technology, I'm flipping back and forth from the lead sheet to the chart. But the McDonald's, we did, according to the chart, grant 4 building-mounted signs. And they have some signage out in the road as well. So in any event, do we need anything else from the applicant? I don't want to cut anybody off. If you have anything, we got about 6 or 7 minutes, and we really don't have much else to do in the work session. So, well, run through the applications. But anything else the applicant wants to offer before?
And if I could, it's Paul again, for DeMarco, just reiterate that we looked at this as a landlord, and obviously worked very hard to secure Starbucks as part of lease within the plaza. And as Dave Scheib alluded to, they typically will not go off of the main right of way. So by bringing them into the plaza, we developed the architecture as 4-sided architecture, put a lot of effort into making that very attractive. And it just seems very fitting that each of those facades speaks to some part of the approach to that building. And the western facade faces Empire Boulevard. It's very critical that there is signage as that facade faces Empire. Off of Creek Street on the south side, the drive-through component is speaking to a traffic pattern that is entering the plaza, and we have balanced traffic all around this building. So, I just think that the signage is tasteful from our perspective. It is proportionate with each facade, and as you all know, Starbucks word mark is a simple white font and doesn't overpower the elevation. And I think signage is always a component that we're going to have conversations between the landlord and the zoning board, and I'm always comfortable talking with you guys about it. The goal for us in Baytown is to continue to bring best-in-class tenants, continue to try to raise the bar with what we're proposing in that center. And I think we did a nice job with this one, and I'd really like, and respectfully request that you support them with this application and their request for the signage as it's proposed now. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Anybody else from the applicant? Okay. Any other questions from the board? All right. Okay, well, let's then move to seeker on this. I don't believe we've done seeker.
We did not.
We did not, I'm told. So I will make a motion to declare this an unlisted action and further to issue a negative declaration on this matter.
I'll second
Second.
it.
I'm going to give that one to Matt for the second. All right, so we have a motion to declare unlisted and then issue a negative declaration by me. Matt, second. Any further discussion? Okay. Let's do roll call, see if this works better. Matt? All in favor? Matt?
Yay.
Andres?
Aye.
Marie?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
I am I as well, so 5 in favor. Okay, now in the application itself, I'm just going to go from the agenda because I don't, although the number has changed, I'm not sure that any of the requests have changed because it just says to allow greater building signage. So my thought, folks, is that this is a unique location for a Starbucks. I think that's come through pretty clearly tonight. It is a 4-sided architectural building with no true front and back, and that's intentional because of the location. I think the way that we're holding this meeting tonight demonstrates the importance of having a drive-through at this location and making sure that people are aware that there is a drive-through. Yes, I think in answer to Andres' question, there's going to be some presence on the pylon signs. The other thing is 2 of these signs, now 5 in number, 2 of them are really, for all intents and purposes, one sign or pretty close. I understand that. But the most important factor in my mind that's going to weigh in favor of my making a motion to approve this is the fact that in this location and in this plaza, there's traffic, and a lot of traffic coming from all directions. So I do think, for safety purposes, and I think this is supported by the PRC memo, that this is an appropriate application. Again, I'll go to McDonald's, 4 building signs. This is one more than that. But I personally am okay with it, but certainly willing to talk about it. So that's my motion. Motion to approve the application, and is there anyone?
I'll second that.
All right, Marie seconds it. Okay, any other conversation, comment? All right, I don't see any, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, 5-0 by my count. All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate the follow-up work by the applicant and by the property owner.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the agenda. Let's see. We can run through, we did the minutes, so let's run through we did tabled. Anybody have any questions for clarification purposes on any of tonight's applications? Marie shaking her head, Andres shaking his head, Matt kind of shaking his head, frowning a little bit, really shaking his head, smiling now, Mike smiling. All right, we're all good? All right, then we got about 3 minutes to start, so you guys have a 3-minute break, and then we'll stand in recess now and start the, how many? 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Well, somebody's got to adjust the clock in this room. All right, guys, are we okay to go right to the public hearings? Everybody
Let's
all
do it.
right? All right, board members are okay. All staff ready to go?
Good to go.
We're going to do it. Luckily, I only had 1 bottle of water before the meeting. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay. Whenever you can count me down, we'll
You're on, just keep right on going.
just keep on going. Okay, folks, welcome to the public hearing part of our meeting tonight. It's a regularly scheduled meeting of the Penfield Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight's meeting is going to take place in 2 parts. The first part will be our public hearings. We will have an applicant virtually tonight give us a presentation, and then board members will have questions. Then we'll open it up to the public. To anyone that wants a comment on the application can do that. Once the public hearings are adjourned, we'll take a brief recess. Well, actually, no. Tonight, what we're going to do is at the end of each application and opportunity for the public to speak, we will get right into deliberate and vote on that particular application. That's different than we usually do it, but we wanted to move things along application by application tonight. So, I like to point out, as do my fellow board members every month, that the town does a good job, we think, of notifying people, citizens, that they have an opportunity to come in and speak about the applications. The town does that by posting the agenda on the website, sending out postcards if you live nearby, having applicants put signs up. All that's done so that the public knows of their right to come in and comment. The members of the public, right, yep, that's okay, yeah, thanks. Members of the public usually they're present, come in and speak, but tonight, because of the pandemic, and consistent with the governor's executive orders, we're going to hold this meeting obviously remotely. So there's not going to be any in-person access to the town hall tonight, but the meeting is being video recorded, and it's also being broadcast live via the town's website at www.penfield.org. It's on the town's government access cable channel 1303, that's 1303, and on streaming media device Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Search Penfield TV in your device's app store, and it's free. The meeting later will be transcribed. Questions regarding video coverage, please contact Penfield TV at 585-340-8661. Now tonight, folks, if you would like to address the board on any of the public hearing matters, there will be specific public participation opportunities for each matter on the agenda. The way we're going to do it is we're going to have the applicant give a presentation. Then I'll remind folks of their opportunity to chime in. Board members will have questions, and then we will open it up to anybody else that does have a comment. How can you comment? You can participate by phone. If you have a comment on an application, the phone number is 585-340-8771. Or you can submit an electronic comment using the method available on the website, www.penfield.org. If you go to that and you click on the meeting, that'll bring you to a form, I guess you call it, that you could fill out, and the message will be sent right to us, and we'll be able to address that. The staff will also accept public comments on any of these matters via email at building@penfield.org. That's building@penfield.org. The preferred methods, however, folks, if you can, is either the phone call or using the website. All public comments sent in via email must include name and address for the record and reference the application number. So, I think I covered it. Anybody? Yep. I'm reminded that we're going to do a virtual Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able to and can stand and join us on the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be great. Let's do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Boy, that's a lot harder to get right when you're doing it by yourself or a very small group. Yeah, you guys were whispering back there. And then before we start with the hearings, I just want to say thank you very much to everybody here at town. The folks at the Penfield TV have been working hard on all the public meetings, not just zoning, to get it right and to make sure that the integrity of this process is maintained, and they've done a great job. The meeting's probably going to go a little longer than it normally would, but so be it. We're all doing our best to deal with this situation, and I really want to give gold stars to all the folks at Penfield TV, and then to Kristen and Andy as well. Just fantastic job. You guys are dealing with this every day. We only had to come in tonight, do our part, but thank you very much. It would not have been possible without you. So, with that said, I guess we're ready to move to the first application.
Okay, do we have, I understand Brian Kelly, the first applicant's going to be calling in. Do we have him on hold?
Yes, we do.
Okay. First application, Brian P. Kelly, 122 Yorktown Drive, Webster, New York, 14580. requests an area variance under section 250-14.3 of the code to allow a garage addition with less side setback than required under section 250-5.1-F1 of the code at 122 Yorktown Drive. The property is owned by Brian and Emily Kelly and is zoned R-1-20, SBL number 093.16-1-36. This is application number 20Z-0004. Okay, Brian, you're all set. You can go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everybody. So I'll just quick rundown, I guess, on our project. We'd like to put a single bay garage on the east side of our property, which would have a small pool room on the rear. That area backs up to our pool area, so that's kind of the intent there. In having the project designed, the front portion of the garage encroaches on the 10-foot side setback by approximately 8 inches. Our lot on the east side, the side of that garage addition, as it heads to the north, trails off to the east. So, in essence, the front portion of the garage encroaches on the 10-foot side setback, but as you get to the back portion of the addition, it clears that and allows for the 10-foot side setback. So we've got a kind of a small problem in the front corner of the proposed addition that we're seeking a variance for. And I apologize for not having any visuals, but if there's anything I can elaborate on, I'd be happy to.
And just before we open it up to board questions, thank you, Mr. Kelly. That was, for the record, Brian Kelly, the applicant that resides at the Yorktown address.
Yes, absolutely. Brian Kelly.
Okay, for folks at home or whoever may comment, just want to remind you, you can comment the 3 ways I mentioned before. Preferred method would be to call the 340-8771 or go to the town website and file an electronic comment there. Okay, so any questions from the board for Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, I have a couple, Dan.
Okay,
Mr.
Matt?
Kelly, this is Matt Piston speaking.
Yes.
So I do recognize that you're asking for a small variance and that the variance is for just a portion of your yard. But I guess my question is that the main question I have is that if this is a new build, if you're building onto your current garage, why not make it 6 inches shorter so that you don't need the?
Well, the reason we're seeking the variance is, it's a sizable investment, and with only a portion of the garage, in conflict with the setback, we'd really like to maintain the sizing that was designed. It's, the addition itself is 12 feet wide. It's pretty standard for a garage addition. If we make that smaller, you've got a very small sliver of structure on each side of the garage door. And again, for the little bit of conflict with the side setback, we'd like to maintain that design.
So it's aesthetically more pleasing to have it the way that it's currently designed rather than making it a little bit smaller?
Aesthetically pleasing and functionally pleasing.
And you said that you're going to make a pool room out of this. Can you just describe what that is?
Yeah, so the front portion of this addition, so it's 12 feet wide. The entire addition would be 32 feet deep. Approximately 24 feet of that would be garage space, and then the back 8 feet would be a toilet room and changing room that would be accessible from the pool area.
Which is in the back, correct?
Correct.
And your neighbors to the east, have you had any conversations with them about this?
Yes.
And what are their feelings?
They're all for it. They don't have any issues with it.
I have no further questions.
I
Marie?
have a question. Mr. Kelly, will the addition be any higher than the existing garage?
No, in fact, the front of this garage is set back 2 feet from the plane of the existing house and garage, and the roof lines will be constructed to match the existing house roof lines.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board members? All right, I don't see any. So, Andy, anything? No, he says. I don't see anything on either of my indicators. I think I have two, and I don't see anything. So, I don't know if anybody else downstairs can tell us if anyone's in the queue or.
No, sir. We're clear.
Well, great. Okay. Well, then let's go right to the deliberation on this motion. We don't have any other comments. Start with seeker.
Yeah, I make a motion to declare this a type 2 action requiring no further review.
That was Matt with the
I'll
motion.
second it. Zandris.
Andra seconds it. All right, on the seeker, type 2 action. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey.
Aye.
All right, that was unanimous. And then go ahead, Matt.
This is Matt Piston. I would make a motion to approve the area variance. It really is just a small variance that he's seeking in really one corner, the front corner of the yard or the lot. It doesn't seem to be an undesirable change. It probably couldn't be achieved another way. Even if it could, again, we're talking 6 inches to a foot. So it's not substantial. It does not appear that there's any adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Neighbors don't seem, according to the applicant, to have an issue with this. And while it's self-created, I don't think that that's really relevant in this proceeding since it is not a substantial variance. So I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second that, Mike. Bill.
Okay, so a motion to approve by Matt, a second by Mike. Is there any further comment? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimous in favor. One down, folks. Not bad.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
You're welcome, and thank you for being patient. I know this application has been pending for a while, so appreciate it.
That's okay. We're used to the sign in the yard now, so
All right.
thank you all.
Have a good night. Good holiday to you. Okay.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2.
Okay, I believe we have Dan Richards that's going to be joining us for this application. He's the applicant. The application is Dan Richards, 1 Center Court Lane, Penfield, New York, 14526. Requests an area variance under section 250-14.3 of the code to allow a taller storage building than permitted under section 250-5.1-F12C of the code at 1 Center Court Lane. The property is owned by Daniel and Nina Richards and is zoned RA-2. SBL number 125.04-1-7.108, application number 20Z-0005.
Okay, Mr. Richards, go ahead.
Hi, this is Dan Richards. I live at 1 Center Court Lane. If I can, I'd like to screen share the presentation with you. I can get there. There, can you see that?
Yep, we see the cover page right now.
Terrific. Okay. So as a hobby, I collect and restore antique cars and trucks. And my wife and I also do some camping. Our trailer is approximately 12 feet tall. We wanted to have a building to store our camper and for a place to work on the cars. Last November, we met with the builder to draw up plans for a 40 by 40 by 16 pole barn. And we deemed it need to be about 16 feet tall to accommodate a 14-foot door to allow the trailer's height. We went to the town. The ladies at the Penfield building office were very helpful in helping me fill out the application. They came out, and the original site was deemed unacceptable because it did not have enough setback. I had originally planned to put it on the east side of the house, thinking that all I needed was a 15-foot setback, but it turns out because of the square footage, I needed to have at least a 50-foot setback in this area. We repositioned the building. Phil came out and inspected the site, gave us an approval for the new positioning, but did request some extra drawings, sketches for where the posts would be, so we provided that. And also a sketch of the facing, showing, here's the 14-foot door, here's the 12 by 7 pitch, and not knowing that I was limited to a 20-foot tall structure. And neither I nor the building inspector at the time picked up on the fact that it was going to be taller than needed. We got permit to begin the construction. About a month later, they came out, and the Mennonite builders threw that up in 2 days. Wow. Got approval for the footing holes again. And in February, they came back, did the final inspection, and we were very relieved that we were okay for the CFC. And we put a lot of time and money into doing this. And the next day, got a phone call saying that after reviewing it, it looked to be 9 feet too tall. Currently, this is what it looks like from the private drive on Center Court Lane and from the public road on Harris. So I'm seeking a variance for the height of the building. I realize it's self-inflicted, but being a novice at this, I had no idea that it was a problem at the time.
Okay, before we go to board questions, I'll once again remind the public of the opportunity to contact us with comments. Phone number 340-8771. Website www.penfield.org. Okay, any questions from the board?
I've got a couple, Dan. This is Andres. Right off the bat, I looked at your application packet, and it included a quote that this accessory structure was about $36,000. Is that correct?
Yes, for the outside structure of it, yes.
Sure. Did you end up getting any pricing in terms of if this, for some reason, the roof had to be lowered, what that would cost? I mean, would you assume it's a third of this value or somewhere around there?
I did not. We didn't find out about changing the roof line until after the structure was already up. So no, I don't know how much it would cost to take the old roof off and redo it.
Okay. In terms of your neighborhood, can you describe just your neighborhood and the area around it? How far away homes are?
Sure. It's a homeowners association. They are 5-acre lots. My next door, I'm the first lot on the corner. The next lot on my side of the street is the first half of it is overgrown with large trees and brushes, and then Georgina's house is over there. You cannot see it from our property, and I'm sure she cannot see us from hers. The people across the street also have a garage similar in size, but not in height. And there's a total of 8 houses in our tract.
Thank you. In terms of the area, so I think you said your neighbor has a pole barn as well.
Yeah.
Would you consider, accessory structures, barns like this as a common feature around your area of Penfield?
Yes. So the neighbor straight across the street has one. His neighbor next to him has one. Behind him is a barn. And across the street on Harris is a farmhouse with a barn, and they just built a new house up on top of the hill that has a stable / pole barn.
Okay. And you did mention that you're in a homeowners association who usually has stricter, covenants for their area. Have there been any issues with that in terms of the association saying, we don't like this isn't good, or any of your neighbors?
No, none at all. In fact, just the opposite. Several of the neighbors wanted to know who built the barn and how to contact them because they were interested in putting one up also.
Okay. And I think just to clarify, you did say after the structure was built and after the town had been out and seen the site several times, that's when you learned that it was too tall?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? None there. I'm again looking on my screen here, and I don't see any.
No calls, nothing on our end.
No calls, nothing from anybody else. Andy, any emails?
I have nothing, no.
Okay. No comments from the public, so let's go right into the seeker.
Okay, I will move this to unlisted action, and as a negative declaration, there's no significant or adverse environmental impact.
Second.
Okay. I note that I'd written down type 2 from the lead sheet, but
Yeah, I was going with a type 2.
Was it a type 2?
hey, Andres, it's your motion. Call it a
Well, then
type
I'll-
16, pal.
Well, then I'll make it a type 2, and there's no further review then.
And I'll still second it.
All right. So on seeker, we have a motion to declare it a type 2 action, and we have a second from Marie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous, and on the application itself.
Sure. I will make a motion to approve the variance requested. After looking at the information provided and hearing from the applicant, it doesn't appear that there's going to be any kind of undesirable change to the neighborhood. In fact, there's several other accessory structure barns in the area, so I think this will blend in well. You can't see the other homes from this area as well, so it is fairly isolated in a sense. The parcels are large. It doesn't appear that it'd be easy to remedy this in terms of, if you look at the scale of cost of this, is $36,000+ to build this, and to remove a roof and retruss it and re-roof it, things like that would be a pretty large burden on the homeowner as well. And while this is self caused, I think it was one of those things. I think there were some opportunities where it could have been caught, but it wasn't, and so it wasn't done on purpose in a sense, and it was purely by accident.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve for those reasons stated. Did we get a second?
I'll second it.
Mike Belgiorno seconds. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Richards.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Let's move to number 3.
Okay, I think we have James Creticos and possibly Fred Rinaldi on deck for this one. Application is Jim Creticos, PE BME Associates, 10 Lift Bridge Lane East, Fairport, New York, 14450. on behalf of Conifer Penfield Associates, requests an area variance under Section 250-14.3 of the code to allow the development of parking spaces within the front setback devoted to landscape area as required by Section 250-6.3-F1 of the code at 2071 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. The property is owned by Conifer Penfield Associates and is zoned general business TF overlay, SBL number 140.05-1-1.2/2160, application number 20Z-0007.
Okay, whoever's here on behalf of the applicant, if we could just have you state name and address.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Creticos. I'm with BME Associates down at 10 Liftbridge Lane in Fairport. Fred Rinaldi apologizes. He had a last-minute emergency and had to attend something else for the meeting, but I think we've got a pretty good handle on everything going out here, so I'll be able to answer any questions you guys have. I'm going to start by sharing some information just to kind of give you guys some background on the project. So we are here for a Starbucks application. This is in the Parkside Commons Plaza, which is located to the northwest corner of the New York State Route 250 and 441 intersection. This will be a redevelopment project. We will be demoing what was formerly a Verizon building. It was located right at the entrance here. With the application, we'll be demoing this as well as reconfiguring a bunch of the parking area to support the Starbucks drive-through and other site features we're looking to construct. So here is a rendering of what the project will look like once we have completed the proposed improvements. Again, we're reconfiguring the site here to provide a drive-through with more than the recommended stacking, but the result of this, as well as maintaining the appropriate traffic circulation patterns in the plaza, was it forced us to have to relocate a portion of the parking that was central to the plaza, and we're proposing to locate it along the north-south access drive here, located on the eastern portion of the site. So with this, we are looking to request a variance to allow a 4.6-foot setback, I believe, from the required 50-foot setback from a New York State right-of-way per the code section that was referenced previously. There is an existing easement or variance out on the site already for this to allow a 15.6 feet. So we're just looking for about another 11 feet allowance. This allows us to construct this bay of parking on this side of the drive aisle to meet code requirements for all the parking in the plaza. We still maintain our green space and everything else. I've got some more information here, some more exhibits just to kind of show the general circulation of the plaza. As I noted, there is an existing access easement here to the plaza and areas ESL Bank to the north. There are some other plans in the plaza, some other redevelopment activities. Fred's really excited about this development here. I know he's been trying to find a tenant to fill this out parcel building in the plaza for quite some time, and they have a lot of new features and things that they're excited to bring into the plaza and kind of revitalize it. So as I mentioned, we're just looking for the setback reduction variance. I'd be happy to discuss any of the other portions of the projects if you guys have any specific questions on the features or anything of that nature.
Okay, and before we go to the board once again, I'll remind the public, if you wish to comment, phone number 340-8771, or go to penfield.org, and you can submit an electronic comment. Also, can use email at building@penfield.org. But the preferred methods are the phone and the electronic right from the website. Okay, any questions from the board?
I have a few.
All right.
This is Marie. Thanks for the presentation. I also saw your planning board presentation last week. So I was just curious if we had the rendering of the drive-through, what it looked like. I just saw the existing building, and I did see that other one in the planning board presentation.
Yes, I believe Andy, if you're talking about the fly around, Andy has that, which I think we can stream from the town. I can certainly bring up the building elevations. I've lost my...
While you're getting that, out of curiosity, is this building going to be smaller than what is there currently, the old Verizon building?
Yes, this is only about a 2,000 square foot building, so it is shrinking down a little bit.
Okay. I'm curious, it was almost a new building practically. So
yeah, no,
we're
demoing the old building, just with the drive-through features and everything else in there. They can't retrofit the existing building, so again, and Fred's really excited to bring in this new modern architecture, really again bring life back into the plaza.
Right, and I'm assuming that the request for parking is taking into account all the other shared parking spaces in the plaza, correct?
Correct. We did do a analysis of all the parking, and we are meeting it exactly per the code requirements of all the uses in the plaza. We also are providing more than the recommended minimums that Starbucks has for a facility of this size. So again, we're above the parking number Starbucks feels they need. We're above the stacking and queue numbers and the drive-through that they believe they need. And then additional to that, I know you mentioned attending the planning board meeting last week. There was a lot of comments about traffic and flow in that, and we have engaged Frank Dolan, who is generally involved with a lot of our projects with me and Fred as a traffic expertise and safety for the plaza. So we've had several conversations this week, and we'll be submitting something to the planning board, I believe tomorrow, with some additional supporting information for that. So the planning board is very involved with the traffic and safety features of this. One of the requests they made of us was to review the drive lane width itself and actually make a comparison to the hard road Starbucks. We did go out to that site and measure lane widths there. We are going to keep with the 24-foot wide drive aisle here. There's a couple things that does. It itself acts as a traffic calming device. It turns us into more of a parking aisle than an access road, which will help to slow the vehicles down, as opposed to giving them 26 feet and then asking for a little bit more on their variance to the road. But there's also some other features that we'd be willing to incorporate into this after the fact if there's issues. I know we've talked about additional pavement markings, potential rumble strips, speed bumps, just a number of different things that we can do that Fred would be willing to maintain to reduce and bring awareness to the vehicles that are traveling through this area.
Thank you. So it sounds like you don't think that the drive-through is going to interfere with the parking being on that eastern side at all?
No, not at all. Like I said, the Starbucks recommends about 8 to 9 queue spaces between their pickup window, the order window. We're providing 14 before, 12 before you'd have any vehicles that would be into that drive lane. And then there's another room for another 10 or so cars to the south before it would have any sort of impact on the 250 entrance. And this is one of the things we've kind of reviewed in detail at this application. We looked at several different layout configurations where the building could have been positioned in the plaza. There are a couple things that are restricting us. There is a town dedicated sanitary sewer, which runs north-south through the plaza just to the west of our building, which is why the building is still in the same position where the Verizon store was. So we've done quite a bit of work over the last 6 months with different options to figure out the best way we can configure the drive-through, providing the most stacking, meeting the parking requirements, and basically introducing this as a safe, we're confident it's just going to be a safe feature of the plaza.
Okay, so I just have one more question. So, because you answered about the other layouts, but how will this compare to the reduced setback next to you at Monroe Muffler? Will it be similar to that?
They right now have a 0.0 foot setback down at the Monroe Muffler.
Right.
So that was a pre-existing non-conforming condition, I believe, from some takings that occurred before the last variance was granted back in 2005, I believe. The last approved plan shows the 0.0 setback on it, but for whatever reason, the 15.6 foot variance was what was granted for it. So without doing
So
this,
there-
we are. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was going to say, without doing this setback, there isn't a way for us to, reach the parking numbers we'd want. So then we'd be looking for a parking variance, and we feel that the front setback reduction is more appropriate for this plaza and this application. We aren't increasing green space. We are actually decreasing it with this. So we're kind of offsetting the green space that is right along the front right of way into that kind of bubbled area just north of the Starbucks where the drive-through kind of wraps around.
Okay. And you didn't find that model of the new traffic pattern, did you?
Are you looking for the site plan showing the
Yeah,
the
that's it.
drive-through?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have lost my ability to share my screen.
Let me work on that. Hold on. Bear with me.
I just think it would be helpful for us to have it.
Oh, here we go.
While they're trying to do that, who here remembers who had the 0.0 grade point average?
Oh, it was an Animal House, right?
That's right, Mr. Blutarski.
Yeah,
Plutarski.
Jim Belushi.
I'm getting a note that says the host has disabled screen sharing.
All right. I apologize. Let me work on it.
That's okay. All right. I mean, I did see it, and do any of the other board members want to see the site plan?
Well, we had it in the packet, I think. I don't know if you can pull it
Yeah.
up on the
Okay.
drive.
So I asked all my questions if anyone else has any.
All right. I've got it up now, I believe.
Yeah, that wasn't the one I was thinking of, but this is fine. This is totally fine. Okay. Great. I don't have any more questions.
Anything else from the board?
I've got one, I guess, question, comment.
All right.
Where the new parking is proposed along 9 Mile Point there, Fairport 9 Mile Point, there's currently a row of trees right there that usually provide some buffer. And I know oftentimes, that's something that, people say they enjoy driving through and seeing the trees as opposed to staring at a plaza. How many of those trees are going to be coming out to accommodate this parking scenario?
We are going to be taking them all out just so we can grade to the right of way to fit the parking in, but we will be putting in several new trees, I think in the range of 7 back in the right of way on the frontage between the parking, as well as some extensive foundation plantings along the drive-through, around the building, around the patio area. That would be, if I can. There's a rendering I could share that shows all that, or the landscape plan that was
I
included.
think that's the one I was thinking of, actually, with the landscaping included.
I think you were this guy, correct?
Yep, that's the one.
Yes. So here we are putting in 7 new trees back in the right of way to displace those. The gaps in here are where the new light pole fixtures that we're updating to LED dark sky compliant fixtures will be located. And again, I noted, there's some shrub plantings and boulders that'll be located here. We've proposed some bollard lighting along the sidewalk here to help delineate the the pedestrian walkways and some other additional safety features. Again, there's a lot of foundation plantings as well as some other additional landscaped areas throughout this. And I know the Rinaldis too have been very actively landscaping this plaza recently. I know they've done a bit of work last year, I believe, and do have plans to continue to revitalize the plaza and move into finishing the replacement of all the light fixtures and things over the next couple years.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Okay, great. I'm not showing any comments on either of my portals. Andy, any email?
I see nothing.
Okay. Well, then let's get right into the seeker.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that for seeker that this is an enlisted action resulting in a negative declaration with no further action required.
Okay, I will second that. So on seeker, we have a motion by Marie to classify this as an unlisted action and issue a negative declaration. I've seconded that. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. To the merits?
Great. Okay, so I would also like to make a motion to approve this variance, parking variance. I do think this is keeping within the current character of the plaza. As a matter of fact, you know, to Mr. Kritikos's point, there is precedent already set next door. So they're not going to be creating anything unusual or that's going to stand out. In terms of other configurations, it looks like they've done their due diligence, but there is a sanitary easement in the way that they've got to account for. I realize this is a significant variance, but it appears that this is the only configuration that will really work. I know that they'll continue to work with the planning board, and I appreciate the careful thought that they've given to the traffic pattern and creating a safe environment. I understand this was self-graded, but I do think that this will be a great addition to that plaza. It will also replace a vacant building now, and I think that I could be very supportive of this variance request.
Okay, so
I'll
we
second
have,
it.
we have a motion to approve by Marie and a second now by Andres. All good points, Marie.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, on the motion to approve, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Great. Number 4, everybody doing okay?
Thank you guys. Have a great Memorial Day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's go to number 4.
Okay, I think we have Chris Englert and Rick Siri. You can turn yourselves on here. And the application is Chris Englert, Keystone Novelties Distributors, LLC, 201 Seymour Street, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 17603. Requests a recommendation of approval for the issuance of an itinerant vendor's license under Section 162-6E1B and Section 162-E2 of the code to allow the sales of sparkling devices at 1601 Penfield Road. The property is owned by Penfield TK Owner LLC and is zoned general business. SBL number 138.08-1-2./PLZA. Application number 20Z-0008.
Okay. Whoever's here for the applicant, if you can please identify yourself.
Hi,
And
it's Chris, I'm sorry.
that's okay, and just give us your address as well, and then go ahead and proceed.
Chris Englert, I'm Regional Director for Keystone. I'm actually a New York State resident, live in Cary, New York. And I work with Keystone in finding and setting up locations to do our licensed sparkler events throughout New York State. I think right now we're probably at about 160 locations in New York, hopefully with pandemic and everything, we're going to move forward and open, and everybody will have a 4th of July celebration in their backyard. Sounds like most all the big celebrations are going to be canceled, so I think we will fill a need for the public, and we'd like to move forward with doing this tent. We can only sell for 10 days. We can only retail sparklers from June 22nd to July 5th. Tent would be up probably around June 19th and come down around July 8th or 9th. So we give the tent company enough time to respond to do what they have to do. And I'll field any questions. And Rick's with me for any schematics or any drawings to put up.
All right, any questions from the board?
Yes, I have a few questions.
All right.
Okay, so if I read your application correctly, you're definitely going to be conforming to all the safety regulations when it comes to fire extinguishers and things like that?
Absolutely. Every one of our tents are New York State Fire Marshal inspected, and we have we have a wholesale permit. The location will have a retail permit from the state, and also the local codes and local fire department will be notified before we open for any local inspections that they would like to do.
Thank you. How about security of the tent at night or when it's closed?
The tent is manned 24 hours. There's around the clock security for when we're closed. The tent sides will be up while we're open, and then when it's closed, the sides will be down, and there'll be security on site.
Are you playing any music during the day?
Nothing other than maybe a clerk might be running a radio for their own. There's no loud music being played now.
Okay. Now, what about how are you going to enforce social distancing?
I don't know if I send it. We have Rick. Are you there?
Well, it was in the packet, but I think just for the record, it would be helpful.
The entrance and exits will be set up as a one-way through the tent. Every 6 feet will be coned. There'll be hand sanitizer at the entrance. Staff will be wearing masks, and will be requiring any customers to wear a mask, and also limiting the number of patrons in the tent.
Okay, thank you. And any garbage cans, any trash that we need to worry about?
No, we have a route supervisor that will be there at least once, maybe twice a day. He will supervise the tent and check it for debris and take care of any trash that, boxes and stuff we take care of removing.
So you'll be removing that then?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's all the questions I had. Any other ones from the board? Oh, I know, signage. I'm so sorry. You did include signage. Tell me about your signage plans.
Well, they're banners. They hang on the side of the tent. We don't put signs off premise, along the roads or anything. There's a variety of signs. They do change them as our sale progresses. We only have 10 days, so there's a credit card sign and the firework or sparkler sign and the sale signs. They might change them. I wouldn't think there would be more than 3 up at any one time, but they might change over the 10 days, but never be more than 3.
Andy, what's the code?
I'm sorry?
Andy, could you tell me, are they limited in the amount of signs they can place on the tent?
Not specifically. Typically, when we have an event like this where we issue a special permit or, in this case, a vendor's license, we would allow expect that the board would make a determination as to what signage is appropriate. So no specific limitations.
Okay. How are the other board members feeling about the signage?
Honestly, I didn't look too much at that. Can we have the applicant describe it? Maria, I'm getting the feeling you think it's a little much?
Well, I guess I feel like, honestly, compared to some other things I've seen last year, it isn't excessive, but the only thing that I just don't know that you really need is a credit card sign. I just think people know that credit cards are pretty much accepted anywhere. But I didn't think anything else was inappropriate at all.
So regarding the signs, I mean, if we're not going to waste our square footage for something that's not going to work. And you do have a valid point on everybody takes credit card. So, we might just eliminate that one, and there might be another sale went up. But
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I mean, we're not over excessive with what we do. We stress, a nice product, a good shopping space, and customer service, and it seems to work for us. We've been at it for over 20 years.
Great. Yeah. So I mean, that was the only sign that was like, I really don't think you needed that, but the rest of the signs are fine, and I don't have any more questions.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions from board members?
I would just comment in terms of the signage. I think this is much less than what the Baytown site is that we approved. And I think they even scaled it back, and this is still less than that for that sign. So, for signage, that's not an issue to me at all.
Okay. I see, well, hold on a second. Something just flickered. Huh. Maybe that's my blood sugar, Christine.
Should we go ahead then and make a motion?
Well, I just want to make sure, Andy, no emails?
I have nothing.
All right, doesn't look like we have any comments, so let's get right into seeker.
Great. So I'd like to make a motion that this is an unlisted action. Issue a negative declaration with no further action required.
I'll second that.
Okay, on the seeker, motion from Marie to declare it unlisted and also issue a negative declaration, second by Mike. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Get to the merits then?
Great. I'd like to make a motion to grant this vendor's license for the time period requested. In looking at the application, I think it's absolutely appropriate to have in Panorama Plaza and would keep in character with the existing stores there. I also saw the placement of the tent, and I didn't see any traffic issues, no disruption to traffic patterns, and I saw no detriment to any nearby properties. So I think as long as they are complying with all the state regulations required, that I can approve. We can approve this.
I'll second it.
Okay, that was Andres with the second. So we have a motion to approve and a second, noting only the withdrawal of the credit card sign.
Thanks, Dan.
Any further discussion? All right. On the motion to approve, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimous. Thank you very much. Good luck, gentlemen.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for your time, and have a good holiday weekend, and stay safe, and stop by and we'll sell you some Spark.
Same to you.
Very
Take
good.
care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Next and last application.
Okay, I think we have Adam Driscoll and Chris McAllister on deck if they want to join us. Adam Driscoll Home Leasing LLC, 700 Clinton Square, Rochester, New York, 14604. Requests a special permit under Section 250-10.3-A of the code to allow an information sign on lot number 4 that is larger than permitted, not within the property upon which the access road is located, and not externally illuminated as required under Section 250-10.12-F2, Section 250-10.12-F3, and Section 250-10.12-F4 of the code, and approval to allow a freestanding sign on Lot 3 that is closer to an adjacent residential property than permitted by Section 250-10.12-D of the code of the Penfield Square mixed-use development located at the site formerly addressed as 1821 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. The properties are currently or formerly owned by Home Leasing LLC and are zoned mixed-use development, SBL number 125.01-1-25.34 and 125.01-1-25.33, application number 20Z-0009.
Okay, if we can have a representative of the applicant identify himself or herself and give us address as well and proceed.
Hi, my name's Adam Driscoll. I'm with Home Leasing. I just wanted to first off say thank you to the Zoning Board of Appeals for reviewing our proposed application. We are currently under construction for the home leasing portion of the project, the independent living portion, as well as a partnership with Episcopal Senior Communities is underway as well. This is a shared road with the YMCA and the U of R, and myself and Chris McAllister from McAllister Signs, who's also with me tonight, have met with all of those folks from Episcopal, U of R, and the YMCA to just get together and try to come up with the best shared package that we wanted to put in front of you tonight. If it's okay, I'd like to have Chris speak a little bit more to the details of some of the designs of the sign. So Chris, if you're willing to take it from here.
Yep, actually, why don't I share the screen? Okay. How's that? Is it up there? Nope. All
Yep.
right.
Yep. I think we got it.
Yep.
You got it?
That's up.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so this is actually the overall site plan here, and it's basically giving a summary of what we're proposing. On this site plan, number 6 and number 3 are existing signs that we are hoping to keep in the same exact place, not move at all. That was actually the request of both the YMCA and the U of R, and so we're trying to honor that request for them. Number 2, and I'll show you some zoomed in pictures shortly, but number 2 is the proposed internally illuminated monument sign that we are hoping to put up on Route 250. And then as you come in the private drive, number 4 will be the signage identifying the gardens at Penfield Square, which is the residences. And then number 5 is the signage that will identify the Episcopal Senior Life Communities. That's the only one we actually don't have a final rendering on, but I don't anticipate it's going to change too much. So as far as this design, this, okay. So we start with the proposal for the monument sign here. This is basically the overall idea of what we're looking for. As we go into more details, this is actually going to be manufactured from 3 different cabinets. There's going to be one center cabinet, which will have the tenant portions on it. And each of these will be internally illuminated. What you see with the gray will be a solid aluminum. And then the Penfield Square, we plan on using push-through acrylic letters. So the background will be opaque, painted aluminum, and then the letters will be illuminated and they will stand out approximately 1/4 inch to 3/16 of an inch. The idea is to use matching split face rock with the rest of the property, and the colors and the logos are intended to be uniform again throughout the property. We've got some grays and burgundies, The grays are pulled from the siding on the building. This is an example of what we're talking about for the 2 property identification signage. These are not going to be illuminated. These are going to just have an aluminum face on them, and it'll just be a vinyl applied graphic for both the address and the logo itself. And you can see our dimensions here. So as far as the idea behind these is that we're dealing with both the YMCA, we've got residences, and then we've got the senior life community, and there is also a memory care facility. So there's going to be a lot of traffic on this road. People are going to need to identify left versus right. Where are they going to go? So the placement for these, we can't put the placement for the gardens at Penfield Square right at the entrance to the driveway. There's 2 driveways. We can't put it at the entrance to the first driveway because it was conflicting with a parking lot for what will be a future commercial property. So we needed it big enough because we're putting it in the center between the 2 driveways so that it's legible. Plus, this will also bring you into the second entrance, which, correct me, Adam, if I'm wrong, that is where public parking would be, versus coming into the entrance where you would go by the entrance. The second entrance takes you into the parking area.
Yes, there's more parking on that side, but there is some parking on the first entrance as well.
Okay.
Yep.
And then as far as the Episcopal Senior Life Communities, this one we actually have on the property. So it would be before you come in, because they just have 1 driveway. So this, we're talking in this area right here. And again, so you're going to see this before you get to their property. And there is these I do have all the manufacturing information on here. If you're interested in more details on that, I'm happy to go into more detail. So this is going to be on the walkover bridge, which is between the 2 properties. This you will not see from Route 250 at all. As far as the purpose behind this is to kind of indicate that this is the cohesive property for Penfield Square and identify more of this public area where people will socialize and have community events. This, again, we are hoping to do this in an illuminated cabinet with the opaque background and the push-through letters that will be illuminated on the face and kind of a halo lit around the edges of the letters. So this, again, is showing you the details for that. So I will go back to the plan here. Okay. So this is the proposal. My understanding is, and Andy can clarify exactly what we have here that is not per code.
Sure. So the big sign at the entrance, the Penfield Square sign, is larger than what is permitted by code. Code allows 40 square feet. This is going to be 61.67 square feet.
Andy, I'm sorry, is that the yellow number 2?
That's the yellow number 2, yes.
Okay.
Code also requires that the sign be located within the property in which the access road is located. And technically, the access road is not located on the same property where the sign is located, so that doesn't comply. And the third thing is illumination. Code requires that it be illuminated from an external source, and this is proposed to be internally illuminated. The only other thing that doesn't comply would be, let's see here. Sign number 5 will not comply because it is going to be located closer than 50 feet to the property line, which runs right up the middle of that entrance road there. I think the sign's actually going to be 42 foot 8 inches instead of the 50
From here.
required. Correct.
Okay. So about 8 feet closer than it's supposed to be.
Right.
All right, that's a good summary. Any questions from the board?
Yes, I have a couple.
Okay.
First of all, Andy, can you clarify a little bit why that the sign number 2 is not on the access road, the property that it's on? Why is,
Because the property line, well, the property line runs right along the curb of the road. So the road is technically not on that parcel. That where the commercial out parcel is there, the building is, that's actually a small, single parcel there. Does that make sense?
It's a different parcel. Is it owned by the same?
Yeah, they're all under the same ownership. The road itself, the access road that goes in off of 250, isn't on the parcel, which code requires the sign and the road to be on the same parcel.
okay, but it's owned by the same people.
Correct.
And
Yes.
there must be another reason why that's a separate parcel, rather than just combined it with the adjoining parcel.
And Mike, I don't mean to interrupt you, but didn't we have a similar situation with the Y? Wasn't there property that was on somebody else's? Maybe I'm thinking of another application. Any event, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's important that we're just restricted to the inquiries on sign 2 and sign 5, really. The other question I had of Andy is, there was references in the notes to 2 of the signs being on sewer easements.
Yeah, that's correct. So
Those don't require us to approve that. Do they or do they not? Because it wasn't advertised.
Well, the fact that they're in the easement would require review and approval of the town board.
Town board or zoning board?
Town board.
Okay.
So I would say that an approval by this board of the signage should probably include a condition that they obtain approval from the town board for being located within the easement.
Okay. All right, so
Sorry.
we're dealing basically with sign 2 and sign 5. So let's talk about size of sign 2, which is basically an informational sign. How did you determine that you needed 61.67 feet?
So let's put that back up again. So basically, our consideration for this is the speed of the drivers as they're coming down 250, and the fact that we do want to include 4 different entities on here. So we feel it's important that we have them substantial enough so that they're legible. And again, I'm going to refer back to the fact that we are going to have independent living, we're going to have memory care, and we're going to have a senior community. So to us, we felt that something of this size was going to allow for that visibility. I'm afraid that anything smaller than this would probably not serve the purpose because it's going to be hard to read at that speed.
And you had to put it at that location, obviously, so it'd be visible from 250?
So it was at that location versus, if I look here, if we were to put it on the property, right, Andy, we would have to put it down in this area, correct? In which case we're not near the entrance to the private drive. So what we actually did, the reason we chose this location is the exact location of the YMCA in a mirror. So it's the same footprint, but on the opposite side. So the setback from the road on both, from both 250 and from the private road are exactly the same. So that's where we got those measurements.
How does the size of this sign compare with the Y sign? Do you know approximately how big the Y sign is? I know we approved it, but I think it was bigger than code allowed as well.
Right, okay, so if you look here, well, I can tell you right here, but this was about 11 foot right here. So if you look at that as compared to this, I think, you're gonna find that the height from grade is probably equal, if not a little bit higher than what we're proposing. Let me go back to what we're proposing though. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so I've got 98. So we're proposing just over 8 foot to the top of the sign. And I do think that it's a little deceiving too, because we have the columns here that we brought in order to bring in some of the building materials. So those do add, they add visually to the overall footprint as well.
So I guess your sign looks wider, but not as high as what the Y has.
Correct.
But the scope of it is not tremendously greater than the Y sign.
No, no. So this sign itself is 6 foot by 10 foot is the size of the overall sign.
The illumination on the sign. So the panels are gonna be totally illuminated, the 4 panels?
Okay, so the way we've got it, the way we've got it currently set up is so that, yes, the 4 panels would be illuminated. I imagine we would probably be in a situation we're gonna do an opaque background. So as an example, if you look at the gardens, that would be a burgundy opaque background with the white letters shining through versus a big white panel that, like the way the Episcopal Senior Communities is. And again, they're still in their marketing stages, so I don't unfortunately have a final rendering for them, but we can certainly tell them any requirements as far as an opaque background with the illuminated letters.
But definitely the Penfield Square is gonna have the letters illuminated and raised, but not the background.
Correct. It's going to have an opaque aluminum background with, there are acrylic letters that push through, and then the faces will be lit and the edges will be lit.
What hours would these be illuminated?
We haven't actually discussed that, but typical for something like this, and again, considering what time people are going to be coming in, I'd say they would stay illuminated well into the evening. I mean, Andy, you might have a better gauge on what they're going to want as far as any type of hours as with the memory care.
Do you mean Adam?
I mean, Adam. Yes, sorry, Adam.
That's a good question. Is it allowed, if this was permitted, is it allowed to be 24 or from, I guess, dusk till dawn?
I think it could be allowed, but that may have something to do with whether we, would approve it for 24 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I don't, we hadn't really discussed that. I definitely think early in the morning, just because when it gets dark and we want to make sure it's visible, open to time restrictions.
Right. And I'd say the only reason you'd need it to be open 24 on, overnight is because of the residences. But again, I don't know how critical that is because visitors, I would imagine, are going to be only coming to a certain time frame for the most part.
Obviously more significant during the dusk and dark hours than it would be during daytime.
Oh, yes.
So would you be able to get that information to us?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, with regard to sign number 5, the one that's I think it's for the senior living center.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that you put it in the location it is because it's on the corner of the entrance road.
Right. And so again, a challenge we have here is we've got the entrance road here, we've got the sidewalk, and then we have another 5 or 10 foot here, and I can check that. So again, we're just trying to bring it close enough to the road because we've got a lot of traffic that's going to be coming in here. You're going to have the traffic coming in this way. So we wanted it just to be as identifying as possible for people who are coming to this property.
And just to piggyback on that, I think the other thought we had was we didn't want to move it to the area where is that number 6? I think the U of R, just to avoid any confusion.
All right, I think that's all I have.
Okay.
All right, I guess I should have reminded the public. I forgot to do it. So members of the public, if you have any comments on this application, 340-8771 or penfield.org for the electronic submission. And then, of course, there's email, building@penfield.org. Any other questions from the board?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment in terms of just the signage and mixed use. I think this is probably something that might run across again with mixed use development, as it might have a single owner, multiple uses, multiple parcels, multiple buildings, where we might run into things like this where there's issues with the code as well in terms of sign compliance, things like that, trying to advertise for multiple uses within a same parcel. The code probably doesn't really allow for that specifically, which is what we were seeing right here. So that's just an observation.
Yeah, we do. It's a much lesser scale, but we do have something similar at the Bayview Y with Baywin. Shared road that you go in and various units on on Baywin as well. I cut you off there, I think.
Oh, no, all I wanted to share was, and I know it's a different board, and I just wanted to share with everyone that I recall, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Zach Nersinger had said that, the town engineer, I think it was Mark Valentine, was okay with the sign being over the easement. I'm just sharing that. I don't know if that still changes anything or not, but they had looked at that. I think it was the sewer easement that it was over, and they had said that they were okay. Whether we still have to go in front of the town board, I totally understand, but I just wanted to make sure I shared that.
I think what we were thinking about doing is making as a condition of approval, if we approve this, that you sign a hold harmless agreement with the town, which basically says that, if they have to remove it, or if you have to remove it, you will, you'll comply with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Anything else from the board? Okay. I don't see any comments from the public on either of my portals. Andy, anything from email?
Nothing on email.
Okay, just to give him another minute, I have a question out of more curiosity, I guess, but what's the reason for the statute requiring the external?
I'm not sure.
Okay, there's an
honest
honest
with you.
man for you. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Why the code requires external lighting? Is it just brightness, or I don't know. Well, I'm kind of stretching to give members of the public a little time to call in because I screwed up and I didn't read those numbers. But I think we're good. So if we're all set, board, let's go to the seeker.
Okay, I move that this is an unlisted action and issue a negative declaration, no adverse environmental impacts.
I'll second.
A second from Andres. So a motion to declare it unlisted and issue a negative dec by Mike, a second by Andres. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, unanimous. Okay, get to the merits.
I just had a question for the board. What's the feeling on the illumination being 24 hours?
If you don't mind me going first, is the Y sign illuminated? He's giving me the same look he did on my last question. But to me, I guess it's, to a large degree, makes sense to have this sign illuminated at least as long as that one. The residents theoretically can come and go at any time, but the U of R and the Y is going to be closed at, whatever time they close. So I guess it's as long as it's not over bright and distracting, I don't have a problem with it being lit, honestly, as needed.
And my thought with it being senior living,
Yeah.
just in terms of emergency vehicles and identification for the property as they approach at night.
That was my thought too. And I since it's also independent living, I think that they're going to have visitors. Nothing to say that people can't visit at 2, 3 a.m. if they wanted to. It's independent living.
Same,
Yeah,
I would agree.
I tend to agree with that too. I just wanted to make sure, since I raised the issue, what your feelings were on it. Okay, so I'm going to deal with sign 2 first. I think given that it's an informational sign and it's on a road that's a fairly busy road and fairly good speed going to and from, that the extra dimension, fine. So I would move to approve that.
Okay, so on that one sign, that portion of the application, we have a motion to approve. Did we get a second?
Second.
Second from Matt. Any further discussion on that part? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that was unanimous. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, number 2, the fact that it's located on a lot that's not the access road as required by code, I'm going to move to approve that variance. I think it's form over substance, and as Andrew said, I think we're going to run into this more and more. I don't think the code was written for this particular situation, but I don't see, you need to put the sign by the access road, and that's where they've located it. So I would move to approve the variance for that.
I'll second that. That's a point well taken. All right, so on the second aspect of the request, we have a motion to approve by Mike, a second by me. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? I thought I saw that both applicants vote aye on that. Was that, or is that just my? Yeah, okay. I got one smile. All right.
All right. Number 3, the illumination being internal instead of external. I'm not sure what the difference is too and why the code says that. I don't have a problem with the illumination. I think it's going to be classier that way, and probably not as bright. So I would move to approve that variance as well.
Second.
That was Matt, seconded. Mike made the motion, Matt seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous as well. Keep going, Mike, you're on a roll.
All right, and on those three approvals, we're going to make those conditioned upon the sign being in the location that it is in the sewer easement, will be subject to them signing a hold harmless agreement with the town and whatever other conditions the town needs to put on it.
Correct.
And finally, for sign 5, the fact that it's 42.8 feet instead of 50 feet from the residential lot 2, both owned by the same entity. I don't think it's going to cause any problems being where it is, and really has to be, because again, similar to the informational sign, it's got to be on the road type where the actual building is located. So on that basis, I would move to approve that sign as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion approved by Mike with a second by Marie. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
No.
abstentions? No. Okay, unanimous. And I think that was the last application. Good luck, folks, by the way. So, I feel like that we should have more to do. But it went quite smoothly, everybody. Fantastic job. Have a great holiday. Take the time to remember this weekend all those that gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy our lives and our families and our fun even in times like this. So have a great one. Thank you much, and take care.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you. Great job moderating, Dan.
Good job, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye
Thank
now.
you.